Let me ask you a question. Why is body dysmorphia so bad? Why does it negatively affect us so much? You may be thinking, oh, it's because it makes me really insecure, or oh, it makes me mentally and physically sick. But that actually isn't the reason why this, quite frankly, disease affects us all in such a negative way. I'm going to tell you why it affects us in such a negative way later on in this video. But first, I want to tell you a story. So when I was at the height of my body dysmorphic period around 2021, I was going through a 2 to 3 month period where I was cutting. Now, if you don't know, cutting is where you eat less calories than you burn to try and lose body fat, right? And I'll throw up a picture of when I was at the height of this cut. Now, anyone who knew me, and honestly, any rational person who knows anything about fitness, can look at me back during this time and clearly say that I should not have been cutting, right? So why was I doing it? Well, I had body dysmorphia. And why did I have body dysmorphia? Well, the number one reason is because I put so much emphasis and future projections on my goals as to where if I had the body of a fitness influencer or a movie star actor, then I would be happy, right? And I could not be happy and accepting of myself if I didn't have this body that I wanted. And it became all I was obsessed with and the only thing I wanted. Everything else in my life, everything else that truly mattered, fell down here in level of importance in the grand scheme of things and what I consider to be important in my life, right? So why did I cut though? Well, I was watching this fitness influencer, and then I was watching another fitness influencer, and then I was reading this article and that article. And when you do something like this, you get all sorts of conflicting information, and you don't realize that everyone's body is different. So before I was cutting, I was bulking for a period of about 3 to 6 months, right? And then I found another channel, fitness influencer channel, that I really liked, and they were promoting the importance of cutting. So I was like, damn, I need to cut immediately. Like, I'm looking a little pudgy. You know, what am I even doing? So I started to cut. And the main thing I wanted to get out of this cut was to be super lean and chiseled and see my abs for the first time, right? Because I've always been skinny, but I've never been able to see my abs, and I just never really knew why. And I thought it was because of the amount of body fat I had. And you often hear this piece of information that abs are made in the kitchen, right? A lot of people have heard that before. A lot of people think that's all it takes. So I was misled and ignorant enough to believe that every piece of advice that I took was congruent with my own body and my own goals, right? So I went on this cut, and during this time period, the habits I started to pick up were, which I thought were productive and aligned with my goals, actually were self-detrimental. So what were these habits? Well, these habits are habits that are commonly done by people with body dysmorphia, such as letting go of everything else and only focusing on working out and eating right. I would count my calories to the exact calorie, literally to the exact unit. I was so obsessed with this. I always tracked my meals, even the tablespoon of oil and olive oil that I would use. I stopped eating the meals my mom would cook for me, which would make her sad, right? I would stop going out with my friends. I would stop saying yes to them every time they had plans because it would either involve eating, or I would put myself in a position where I would be pressured to eat food and go over my calories. And this worked for about 3 weeks, right? Because I didn't have a lot of body fat to lose, which I didn't realize at the time, but I did not have a lot of body fat to lose, right? But I pushed it for 3 months pretty much. And at the point of where I just showed you the picture, I was so deprived of calories that my brain wasn't even working correctly, and my body dysmorphia was so amplified that I was just so in denial of everyone telling me that you need to start eating more. What are you doing? I was so in denial because I couldn't see my abs yet, right? You know why I couldn't see my abs? It wasn't because I didn't have the body fat proportions for them to be visible. It was because I had never even developed my abs, because I just went off of that principle of abs are only made in the kitchen and nothing else. I didn't waste. I'm gonna explain why this whole period wasn't a waste, but I stagnated for months because I was just misled, and this only fed to my body dysmorphia, right? Fortunately, it wasn't fortunate at the time from my perspective, but I got a wrist injury lifting. And that wrist injury, I ignored it at first. I kept pushing through because I would have considered myself to be a loser if I quit working out just because of a little pain in my wrist. But I didn't listen to my body, and I kept pushing through lifting with a wrist injury until I eventually ended up in a cast. And following this period, I went to the complete opposite end of habits because I realized that everything I just done before was a waste, right? And I think it's Isaac's third law that states every reaction has an equal and opposite reaction. The habits I was doing before, which I considered productive, they completely changed to the far end of the spectrum. I went from being so neurotic over what I was eating and putting in my body to not giving a shit. I started binge eating, processed food, sugar, junk food, all this other stuff. I started going out with my friends more, but instead of actually spending quality time with them, I would just drink with them and play video games with them. I would be so lazy. I would just sit and watch TV and play video games. I wouldn't even take my dog for a walk anymore, because I had given up and I had fallen into that victim mindset. And guess what? I still had body dysmorphia. Even though I wasn't doing anything to fix it, or working out or anything, not even doing cardio, my body dysmorphia got even worse. And this entire period that I just described lasted about a year, right? But it was a blessing in disguise, because now I know why this happened and how to fix it. And the main reason is body dysmorphia. So to answer the question of what is the worst thing about body dysmorphia, it isn't that it makes us insecure. It isn't that it affects our mental health in a negative way. It's because it literally prevents us from achieving our fitness goals. It makes us so irrational, so emotionally tied to a future physique that might not even be ours. It might be some fitness influencer's body that you put on a pedestal. It makes us so irrational and lack of making the right decision that it prevents us from actually achieving our goals that we want so much, which is the whole point of lifting and eating right in the first place, correct? That's the main problem with body dysmorphia. So how do you actually fix it? Well, the first step is to compare yourself not to other people, but to your past self. Now, I know this kind of sounds cliche. Don't compare yourself to other people, but there's a reason it's a cliche, because it's actually quality and valuable advice. So how do you do this? Step 1, stop binge watching hours and hours of fitness content and fitness influencer content for entertainment. And don't you dare come at me and cope and say, oh, I'm doing this for education, because you're not, bro. You're just so obsessed with this that you want to watch hours of Sam Solik motivational videos or whatever. You want to watch hours of this fitness influencer. You're not doing it for education. You're doing it for entertainment purposes, okay? Next, I want you to compare yourself to how you looked beforehand. There's got to be a picture of you when you first started lifting, or maybe you were 3 weeks in or 3 months in. Compare yourself to that person instead and see how much progress you've actually made. Now, if you're a complete newbie and a complete beginner to the gym, I want you to compare yourself to your future self and how good you're gonna look. As long as that future projection is of yourself and not some other fitness influencer or another person who has a body you want, that's completely fine, right? Step 2 in getting rid of body dysmorphia is to listen to your damn body. You want to listen to your body because your body tells you things that your mind can't tell you. This is the whole problem with body dysmorphia. Your body's trying to tell you one thing, but your mind, because it's so irrational, is trying to say another thing, right? So let's say you have an injury. Listen to that injury, bro. Because if you try and push through it, you're going to be out of the gym for weeks on end, okay? If you are depriving yourself of calories or giving yourself an excess amount of calories that you don't need, knock that off right now. If you are 160 pounds and you've been led to believe that you need to eat 4,000 plus calories to bulk, you have been lied to, bro. If you are over 200 pounds and have a good amount of body fat and you've been told that to lose weight, you need to do all this cardio and have a calorie count diet that starts with 1, like let's say you're 220 pounds and the prescribed diet that you're supposed to do, sorry, my dog, is 1,300 calories. You should be fucking pissed off because that is a lie and that is gonna make you nothing but depressed and body dysmorphic. I'm gonna throw this in here just to help you if you're confused. How you actually count calories is you multiply your body weight by about 14 to 16, 15, we'll call it 15 as a medial range, and multiply that by 15, your body weight by 15, and then add 300, and then once you add 300 to that, that is your bulking number of calories that you need. If you are cutting, you subtract 300 or 400 calories from that. That is the minimum / maximum number of calories you need to be eating per day on a sufficient cut. I'm just gonna throw that extra piece of valuable information at you because that is how you actually count calories and calculate the amount of calories you need to eat in a healthy way. Step 3 is you need to get a life, bro. I know fitness is important to you. It's important to me, always has been, and it always will continue to be, right? But it's not the main piece of life. It's not the main piece of the pie. You need a hobby. You need to spend time with your friends. You need to say yes. You need to talk to some girls, bro. Do not be a gym cell, okay? Because let me tell you something. If all you have is a cool body and nothing else, you're not that cool and nobody is going to care, okay? Don't be one-dimensional. There are so many more hobbies out there that can get you even more jacked than lifting ever will. For me, it was boxing. And let me tell you, learning how to throw a punch correctly will make body dysmorphia disappear just like that. If you don't want to do boxing, there are so many other martial arts like Muay Thai, MMA, Krav Maga, whatever. There are other hobbies like rock climbing, hiking, swimming, anything. Read a book. Train your mind instead, okay? When was the last time you read a book? 7th grade? 6th grade? Come on. And the final step in this mental framework, I guess you can say, to fix body dysmorphia is changing your identity. Do not believe that you have something that takes away your power. If you think you have body dysmorphia, well, guess what? Right, starting now, you don't. Do not believe in something that you have this illness, that you have this disease that takes away power from you. Accept yourself for who you are, play with the cards you were dealt, and build your own best body. Build your best self, not someone else's body. Because that's their body. You can build your best body. And then maybe someday you will have the physique that other people desire. But it's going to take years, bro. I realize that isn't the sexy answer because you've been fed this makeshift belief that if you buy this fitness influencer's program, you're gonna look like him in 3 months' time. That's not gonna happen. It's going to take years of your life to get a sufficient body, just like with anything else in life. But the thing is, that time's gonna pass anyway, right? So you might as well do it. You might as well build your best body, build your mind, and build your best self, and go all in on it.